Part of the discussion about police reform sometimes misses the history of what is the quintessential, most important civil rights statute we know, which is Section 1983. We're going to talk about qualified immunity, and even if you've been not paying attention, or you've only spent a little bit of time thinking about police reform or a little bit of time in the federal courts, you've probably heard of qualified immunity. It is this enormous blockade between people seeking justice and remedy in the court. And what's scary about qualified immunity, and you're going to hear a lot more about it from our expert Professor Sisk in a little bit, but what's scary about it at the foremost here is that it is growing. It has been around a long time, and it has reached the point where nearly every single 1983 action is prevented by this enormous defense. So what is Section 1983? And this is the part I like so much, Emma, is you asked us to look back at the history. Where did we start? I was afraid you were going to make me easy.
Just as long as I've got it.
Yeah, all right. 1871, the Klu Klux Klan Act. That's where we get Section 1983. And it's important to think about the context. So 1871 was the beginning of a part of our country that reminds us that our country goes through cycles. Cycles of repression, cycles of regression, but sometimes cycles of reconstitution, reconstruction, rebuild. And if you're feeling like I am these days about the status of our country, sometimes it's helpful to think back and realize that repair, restoration, and reconstruction are part of our fabric, and the cycles return. So 1871, Reconstruction. The Civil War had ended. The 14th Amendment had been passed. But the status of our country was terrible. In fact, President Grant called on Congress and said, we have to do something to stop this violence that is ripping apart the South. The amount of violence and murder and abuse is hard to discuss in the time I've been given. But it's important to remember that time, because that's why Congress passed Section 1983. And in fact, the bill itself contained not only Section 1983, just to give you a sense of what they were up against, it also included things like suspending habeas corpus. That means imprisonment without due process. Authorizing martial law, permitting the use of federal troops to police the states. The Klu Klux Klan was running rampant, and Congress acted. Section 1983, a part of that bill, basically said that anybody whose constitutional rights are violated by someone acting under color of law had a court remedy in federal court. And they said very explicitly this under color of law, because it wasn't just the Ku Klux Klan. Sometimes it was police officers or state officials. And they wanted a mechanism for justice for people so that they could get into federal court and adjudicate their rights. Now,